Yeah,
He made them.
yeah.
They're the gatekeepers.
Well, no, they have to be a character from the
One
Matrix.
and one.
Makes three.
So say that again.
1 and 1 never makes 2.
No, one. Yeah, no.
1 and 1 always makes 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1 plus 1 always makes 3.
No.
Me and my baby mum make a child, and that's 3 of us. So 1 plus 1's always 3, never 2. Like, love should back against some baby mums.
Well, I just think like at the moment there's a lot of I don't know. Bob told us before, innit? He said there's something in the air, to put it simplistic, and I think that thing has been lingering for a lot of millenniums. But I think part of the solution has the conclusion and has the problem in it all at once, and this is the underlying cause of the confusion. Why we're confused? Because the problem and the solution is in one. So we're living in a paradox basically, where people, I don't know, people tend to think they know it, and even to think you know it is wrong. You do know it already. You know what you are, you know how you are, and you know what you do. So just be and do. It's that simple. I think life is simplistically complex, and I think politics complicates the simplicity.
Okay. Going back to baby mothers at the moment and things like that, do you think it's intensified over the last couple of years?
I would say
That's something in the air.
Yeah, I would say it has intensified to the point where, I don't know, it's almost like, it's almost fashionable, but I've now got a new way of, when I do meet ladies, you know, like, I just want to say for all the women at home, men, you know, we've actually evolved to the level and the state of consciousness that you once was on, and you've once sank to the level of consciousness that we were on. We've traded places, just like Usher said. The way we've done that and how we've done that is due to a lot of single parent, us growing up in single parent environments. It's not our fault, we're not to blame, but when I meet a woman now, my first thing is I need to know background checks. If she's got a good relationship with her father, 9 times out of 10, she'll actually have a good relationship with me. These are my long-lasting relationships. They're the ones where the woman has had a good relationship with her parents. She's seen that good relationship with her parents, but I find women that are aggressors, are angry with either a former boyfriend or their father, they carry that anger, and obviously, you know, they're taking on masculine traits, because anger in itself, it is a masculine trait.
That's correct. So the recent riots in, you know, which were sparked off and started in Tottenham, do you believe that, you know, the issue of single-family environments perhaps was the root undercause to the riots? What are your thoughts on that?
I would say a lot of my thoughts on that, I mean, you know, when I look at it from a political perspective and when I look at it from a social perspective, it pretty much it correlates, you know, it's joint hand in hand. And once a lot of the cutbacks started, you know, a lot of the youth clubs came out of play. You know, I was one of the kids that used to love going to youth clubs. I couldn't imagine what it would be like if I was younger and I didn't have these things there, because it would just be me and the roadside, me and reality. And that's what a lot of these children and youths are faced with today. They're faced with the forefront of reality. And what we obviously need to do is not talk about a difference. I keep saying this, the difference isn't speaking about it, the difference is actually building it, which is why, you know, we're reaching to you today to say we need to build a difference, and we need to incorporate what it is that we know in this world of corporations, you know, and build around them. We can do it by being eco-friendly and looking after everything's around us, you know, just looking after, that's part of us basically, what's around us. But yeah.
Okay, the recent riots in Tottenham, once again, do you think they were helped by the fact that the police shot to death an unarmed man?
All us black people, you know, and I just think personally the anger has come from, again, miscommunication. You know, if it was a thing where they was compassionate towards us, and the way we live, that never would have happened. They never would have followed him, for starters, for no reason, no apparent reason. He wouldn't have had to be his friend to say, you know, these police are following me. And to tell the truth, they would have had more compassion to speak to the family before the Sky TV News came to their house and told them that their son was dead. And this is what sparked off what happened in Tottenham, which sparked off the rest of the nation, you know, and it's not on.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, me personally, I've had loads of, I would say, negative experiences with the police all growing up. You know, first 20 years of my life in Tottenham, etc., etc. You know, walking home from school and, you know, being innocent at 10 years old, the police saying, "Can I look in your bag?" You know, you let them look in your bag. You know, you go to sleep, you wake up suddenly at the age of 15 and you realise what they've done to you. They're like it's almost like a molestation of the youth growing up in Tottenham, and also pre-programming to be a criminal. I do notice that, and even last year, my experience when, you know, a crazy girl moved into my block. You know, this girl had never worked one single day in her life, but you know, when the police came, 7-Up, you know, Dido, Fido, Dido, you know, they came 7-Up, they thought, you know, we have to do something. So, you know, I was punished. They took one look at me, one look at her, and thought, right, he's a Nigger, you know. Yeah, jumped upon from a great height, you know, and I could see that their approach towards me, because what had happened is I'd actually come home from work, taken off the suit, taken off the shirt and tie, you know, and was actually in my casual clothes, pretty similar to what I'm wearing now, you know, just a tracksuit bottoms, the trainers, you know, t-shirt, looking casual. And yeah, they took one look at me and thought, right, he's a thug, without doing any background checks. You know, it was actually later told to me that the girl had a history of mental problems and had done this 5 or 6 times already, moving from estate to estate, you know. You know, as I said anyway, the police's approach to me that time, you know, 2010 August, July actually, I could see that, you know, something's wrong. Do you know what I mean? Something's wrong with, you know, it doesn't matter what I do, I'm just a criminal. Do you know what I'm saying? You can't, even if you're doing right, you're still wrong to some people. So, you know, as Bob said, and as you said before, you know, you can please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all of the time. So it's pretty deep. But, you know, how do you think the way the police in urban areas, i.e. Tottenham, Peckham, Brixton, etc., etc., how do you know, what do you think? How do you think the police are treating the youths of today?
Once upon a time, I don't know. Once upon a time, I could see that the police and society, you know, there was more people than there are police, but police kind of kept things safe in the safe zones. At the moment, I can see there's more police than people everywhere, for no apparent reason. So this to me, it kind of seems like enforcement upon enforcement, and it does make me feel a little bit hostile. And I'm a very tranquil person. I haven't got no criminal records. I've never been to jail for violence. I've never done none of those things. So if this can make a person like me feel hostile, what do you think it's doing to children at home? You know, what do you think it's doing to kids when they're going to school? I mean, must have been about 3 weeks ago. I was actually on my way home and I saw kids in school uniforms being stopped, questioned and told to empty their pockets. Obviously police cannot dip their hands in their pockets, but at that stage you can ask them to, can you take your hands out of your pockets please? So this was a method to enforce children coming from school to think criminally, to act criminally when they're coming from an adequate place of education. Why would you install that seed in their head? What are they going to be left with after school? Apart from exams, what else are they going to be left with? Isn't it that seed of criminality? It's the problem.
Why do you think the riots spread nationwide to the so-called white areas, i.e. Gloucestershire, Bromley, Kent? Well, why do you think the riots erupted and, progressed into a national problem?
Well, I mean, what I actually believe and what I kind of saw was, it was kind of like a pattern. It was a pattern in some degrees. I mean, we are our country and we are the world. And to be quite honest, I'm a little bit surprised. I'm not saying, I would have been happy if this happened, but in reality terms, I'm surprised it didn't actually strike worldwide. Reason I'm saying that is because there was people that were related to people in London from Birmingham which found out about what was happening in Birmingham, and this is how a lot of stigma probably built up again in different parts of the country. But again, I was surprised it didn't go worldwide, because poverty is a worldwide thing, struggling is a worldwide thing, being deprived and not having enough food to eat. So obviously, if I'm hungry, I haven't got enough food to eat, and I can see 3 packs of biscuits in front of me opened, I'm gonna want to nibble one. I'm gonna want to nibble one. I'm gonna want to nibble one. I said, the state of being deprived is worldwide. The state of everyone struggling is a worldwide epidemic. So at the end of the day, if I'm hungry and I walk past 3 packs of biscuits and they're all open, I'm gonna want to nibble at least one, if not 2. It's the state of nature. That's how we are naturally. And so Keith, I mean, what's your opinion on, on the riots and basically what happened that week, I should say? What's your views?
Well, the way I see it, there's the gangs that were out on the street trying to resolve some of the things that have been taken from them.
Yeah.
By politicians.
Yeah.
And so forth. And then there's a bigger police gang, which wasn't so big on the day, but they managed to get another, was it 50,000 or something like that?
That's right, yeah.
To come to London. Just London. London's not very big, as big as Manchester or Liverpool, or anything, but they managed to get 50,000. So
I actually think it was 16,000 extra troops. 16,000.
16,000.
Yeah.
So
police on the second night of the riot.
Yeah, so it's like 16,000 on the second night of the riots, which is, to me, not fair, not very fair.
Not fair.
Not fair on the people that were trying to, help everyone that was in the community as well.
Okay. And what's your views on the impact that it's had, and that it also has on society and on a whole?
Well, I think the police will never change. They'll always be the same, and we're gonna always have the same kind of opinion on them. Only because that's the way they are, and they're never gonna be like any different. So our opinion on them will stay the same, and nothing will change unless we change ourselves.
Right. And I suppose if there weren't actually criminals, then the police couldn't police, and the court system couldn't actually turn, and the cogs of the justice system, the judicial system, couldn't actually turn. So it's by design that you actually have criminals, and you need criminals for the police to police. So in your opinion, Keith, anyway, would you say that the police are the biggest gang in the world?
I would say yes, the police are the biggest gang, secondary to the army. But I do think that, they're a very big gang, and they're bullies as well. So you bringing in extra police into the area is only going to increase the amount of bullying pressure that the public have to deal with day in, day out. I don't live too far from the riots, and I think it was one bank. It wasn't. I don't think the cash point was giving out free money or something like that. And I didn't know this. I went to the cash point, and it was surrounded by police. And I tried to say what's going on here. And the police officer was telling me to shut up and go away. I felt like
Wow.
disrespected, you know, and all I could do was actually just give them a dirty look, because I knew if I said anything I would have been arrested for something, you know. That
On what charge?
I have no idea, but they could have been, you know, they could have said anything, you know.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's anything. You look like a suspect. There has been a burglary reported, and you look like, you know, that sort of person that will do that. So they'll charge you on anything just to waste your time, you know. So yeah, I do think that the police have the biggest gang, and they are the, you know, they are the bullies of this country, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We've actually seen the way the army actually operate, and you know, it's not a good example. Abu Ghraib, you know, the Iraq situation. Just moving on from the army, what are your thoughts? Do you have anything to add to the conversation, Nathaniel?
Well, yeah, I do kind of see a pattern, you know, a pattern of a lot of, I would say, covered up murders that have happened over the past, you know.
Sure, 1,400
Yeah,
dead
you
in
know,
custody.
and
Yeah.
it is a pattern, and it's a thing where I can see that the people have actually, the state of awareness has risen, whereby
Dramatically.
and the people and society and the state of society almost don't know how to stop these things from happening, other than the natural ways, which is rebelling naturally. You know, if you trap any animal in a corner, I mean, it's going to jump for your throat eventually. If it can jump, it will jump for your throat. If it can't, it's going to try and bite your ankle. It's going to want to get out of the corner. So we are psychological beings. So things will build up in us psychologically, and then they'll come out externally. They'll come out physically, which has happened because they don't know how to diagnose themselves psychologically. It will only come what goes in, it comes out, doesn't it?
That's
So
right.
This is what's happening.
So you're saying there was a build-up of tensions over the last. I mean, as we've said before, there's been 1,400 murders in police custody since, I believe, 1997.
Long way back here.
Yeah. So just in that short space amount of time, 1,400 people have died in England and Wales, and not a single.
Which go unaccounted for.
Yeah, not a single police officer has ever been convicted. So you know there are a few murders within there, surely.
Absolutely, there's a few murders in there, and as I said, they're going uncounted for, which is why the people are demanding answers now, and that's basically what I see. They're demanding answers at a lot of equal values, which they've not been given, so they're trying to take that into their own hands.
Right. Okie doke.
Yeah, and it's, to me, it's funny how the politicians, the mayor of London, is included, and what's the prime minister's name again? Cameron, yeah. Because it changes every 4 years, you know. We get confused. And stuff.
Oh yeah, you get given a vote. Democracy. Yeah.
So anyway, I didn't vote for him anyway. But it was funny how they're all on holiday during the times that this was all happening. Most of us can't afford holidays for the amount of cutbacks that they've given to the youth. So a lot of my friends couldn't go on holiday. So you know, they decided to make haste when the opportunity came, and you know.
Yeah.
Capitalised,
That's
basically
right.
capitalised for it.
Interesting.
And another thing I want to say, you know, I'm actually a victim to a lot of what's happened to the youth of today. Just give you a quick example. I mean, literally a couple of years ago, I had a big financial problem whereby I had to rely on the system to get by. I mean, they call it JSA. And at the time, I was actually receiving JSA, which they overpaid me for some unforeseen reason, which they couldn't even tell me the reason what it was for. So I accepted this body blow and this psychological torture, and I appealed. And even though I appealed, they rejected my appeal, and then they gave me £60 every 2 weeks. Now, within this period of a year of me paying back this loan, I could only receive £60 every 2 weeks. I had to look for work because the job centre was forcing me to be on a course, or they were, you know, going to take away my benefits, going to take away my job.
Against your human will.
Against my human will, yeah.
Wow.
But it's legislated, obviously, which is why it happens. And, you know, I was forced to look for work with the £60 a week that they're giving me and go onto their program. Now, what's going to happen if I'm forced to travel with £60 every 2 weeks? Wouldn't I have to fare evade at some point or another? So there I did it. I fare evaded by the willingness of trying to get a better life, which I was stoned for indirectly. And on top of that, I was fined, which kept me lower into debt, and higher into anger, and higher into tension and hostility.
Interesting.
So I had to kind of find a balance, which I've never been taught, to survive with no money and to get on with no money and be happy at the same time and look for work with no money. So I was actually in the 50-50. And
Catch-22.
Catch-22. But basically what I'm one of millions that I didn't participate. But I have the same mentality as those which did.
Interesting.
Do you understand?
Gotcha.
Right.
Alright. Okay, we'll conclude it there. Yeah, I see. You said poverty is a worldwide issue. We see steps in America, steps being taken in America by the public to occupy Wall Street, etc. What do you think about Obama's position where he's saying that he actually supports Occupy Wall Street?
Well, Obama, I mean, it's quite simple with him, and again, like as I say, life is simplistically complex. Politics, it complicates the simplicity. Obama hasn't said anything he's done since he's been in power.
What do you mean, the things he was elected upon?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like close Guantanamo Bay.
100%, yeah.
Right.
He hasn't done anything. So I mean,
at
the end of the day, do we really need to look at this puppet anymore?
Okay. I actually believe he's the worst president ever. What's your take on that?
I mean, me personally, I say, he's a president, but saying someone's a president and being a president are two different things. I just think they've given him the title, but he's not carried out what presidents are supposed to do.
Interesting. Yeah. I suppose he was, a puppet with a different face, I suppose,
Possibly, maybe, because, there are higher orders, and us saying puppet, we don't degrade him at all, but at the end of the day,
he's playing his position.
He's taking orders of what agenda has not been established yet.
Exactly. So he's like, obviously the shadow governments, the real people who make the real decisions, and he's just like, the branch manager of McDonald's, and he's not really, the franchise holder of the property. Yeah. Basically. Yeah. Okay, so how do you think things are gonna progress later on this year and perhaps into 2012?
I don't know if things are actually going to progress or things are going to get worse, or both. I mean, on the news, for example, they don't tell us what's getting better and what's getting good. For some strange reason, the whole 29 years of my life, I've never turned on the news and it be broadcasted good news. There'll be the odd story here and there, but it's just not enough. Sometimes we need just the good news, just to keep the atmosphere positive, so that the air we're breathing is positive microbes, and that will help the atmosphere around us. There's certain places, in Tennessee, Kentucky, people that manufacture chicken houses and slaughter chickens to be put in Tesco's and stuff like that. Now, what they're doing is being labelled unsanitary, because when they're cutting these chickens, certain microbes are going into the air, and it's not good for our environment.
What's your opinion on the bankers?
The bankers, good question. I mean, you're looking at the moment, I mean, I've come out of certain financial jobs that I couldn't really continue no more, because it wasn't really a part of my nature, but overall it gave me a bigger perspective on the financial industry, which the banking industry own, but the financial industry are many outlets to the banking industry. And what I kind of noticed are, there will always be commodities on the earth that belong to the people, and the bankers just keep on stealing them to resource, to reproduce, to manufacture, to control the economic. And we all know this at home, but again, the difference is building it. The difference isn't speaking it. So our difference would be, the only way around it would be to either create our own currency somehow that we all agree to spend, and we all add value to our currency, because the only way we add value to our currency is to put it in our pockets. and take their money out of our pockets. So once a certain amount of people can designatedly do this, then we'll devalue, you know, and we'll add value to what really should have value without saying so much.
Interesting. Okay, because I understand that the banking system at the moment is all digital, and basically, before 1973, the money used to be backed by gold in the ground, such as Fort Knox, etc. And now it's just I promise to bear the keeper or the owner or something like that on the money. So it's backed by nothing. It's backed by productivity of the individual. But as I said, at the top levels, it's all digitally entered into the system. So if you go for a loan now at the bank for £100,000, they just type £100,000 onto a computer, and the money is magically created, and then you pay interest on that money. So they're actually sucking money out of the economy, and they also can take your car, your home, and other physical commodities and products from you. How do you feel about this?
Not too safe, to tell the truth. It makes me feel vulnerable, and as I said, I'm a peaceful man. So if it makes a peaceful man feel vulnerable, that wants to go out now and make loads of money so that they don't take my house and my car, just in case, for God's sake, any reason that I make a mistake, the way I use my house and my car, you make a mistake in using your house and car and they take your house and car.
Or they fine you. Yeah, they fine you for using your vehicle.
Yeah, and it's quite self-explanatory, and it's very much, to me, like it's controlled to the point where it's still controlling the economy to a large degree. It's just a way of controlling the economy,
Also, it's a cash revenue, cash generating service, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
If you use your vehicle wrong, you're fined, £60,
That's right.
Summoned towards a judge, summoned by a judge to appear at court on a certain day to fine you and take money out of your pocket.
I mean,
for using your vehicle wrong.
The biggest taxpayers' money, the third biggest taxpayers' money, I'll let the people at home do the rest of the maths. Find the first and the second. The third biggest taxpayers' money is NI numbers, yeah? NI numbers. So is there any surprise why people are being made more redundant this year than any ever? Is there any surprise? There's not. That's going to climb its way to 2, and then to 1. It's a wrap.
Yeah. No,
we're not just going to let you walk out of here.
Who's we, sucker?
Smith and Wesson and me. You heroes have killed a dozen people this week. What are you gonna do next week?
Kill a dozen more?
How does murder fit in? When police start becoming their own executioners, where's it gonna end, huh, Briggs? Pretty soon you start executing people for jaywalking and executing people for traffic violation. Then you end up executing your neighbor because his dog pisses on your lawn.
It's disgusting that a police officer should know how to use a weapon like that.
Yeah, to put it simplistic, and I think that thing has been lingering for a lot of millenniums. But I think part of the solution has the conclusion and has the problem in it all at once, and this is the underlying cause of the confusion. Why we're confused? Because the problem and the solution is in one. So we're living in a paradox basically, where people, I don't know, people tend to think they know it. And even to think you know it is wrong. You do know it already. You know what you are, you know how you are, and you know what you do. So just be and do. It's that simple. I think life is simplistically complex. And I think politics complicates the simplicity.
Okay. Going back to baby mothers at the moment and things like that, do you
it from a political perspective, and when I look at it from a social perspective, it pretty much it correlates, you know, it's joint, hand in hand. And once a lot of the cutbacks started, you know, a lot of the youth clubs came out of play. You know, I was one of the kids that used to love going to youth clubs. I couldn't imagine what it would be like if I was younger and I didn't have these things there, because it would just be me and the roadside, me and reality. And that's what a lot of these children and youths are faced with today. They're faced with the forefront of reality. And what we obviously need to do is not talk about a difference. I keep saying this, the difference isn't speaking about it, the difference is actually building it, which is why, you know, we're reaching to you today to say we need to build a difference, and we need to incorporate what it is that we know in this world of corporations, you know, and build around them. We can do it by being eco-friendly. And for me, these are my long-lasting relationships. They're the ones where the woman has had a good relationship with her parents. She's seen that good relationship with her parents. But I find women that are aggressors, are angry with either a former boyfriend or their father, they carry that anger, and obviously, you know, they're taking on masculine traits, because anger in itself, it is a masculine trait.
That's correct. So the recent riots in, you know, which were sparked off and started in Tottenham, do you believe that, you know, the issue of single-family environments perhaps was the root undercause to the riots? What are your thoughts on that?
I would say a lot of my thoughts on that. I mean, you know, when I look at
Yeah.
they're the gatekeepers.
Well, no, they have to be a character from the Matrix.
One
Makes three.
So say that again.
1 and 1 never makes 2.
No, one. Yeah, no.
1 and 1 always makes 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1 plus 1 always makes 3.
No.
Me and my baby mum make a child, and that's 3 of us. So 1 plus 1's always 3, never 2. Like, love, she might get them to some baby mums.
Well, I just think, like, at the moment there's a lot of I don't know, Bob told us before, innit? He said there's something in the air.
I think it's intensified over the last couple of years.
I would say
That's something in the air.
Yeah, I would say it has intensified to the point where, I don't know, it's almost like, it's almost fashionable, but I've now got a new way of, when I do meet ladies, you know, like, I just want to say for all the women at home, men, you know, we've actually evolved to the level and the state of consciousness that you once was on, and you've once sank to the level of consciousness that we were on. We've traded places, just like Usher said. The way we've done that and how we've done that is due to a lot of single parent, us growing up in single parent environments. It's not our fault, we're not to blame, but when I meet a woman now, my first thing is I need to know background checks. If she's got a good relationship with her father, 9 times out of 10, she'll actually have a good relationship with